Now, today's topic that we are going to talk about is how do I open a branch in Canada, or how do I incorporate a company in Canada, or how do I use the startup visa program that Canada offers, right? If you're an entrepreneur or a company or looking to be one, I am sure this is on your mind. And guess what? It's on our mind too. And that's exactly
Recording
why
in progress.
we have a global mobility team, and what they do is they help companies and startups and individuals, who want to go to anywhere in the world, right? They help them set up, they help them incorporate their businesses, they help them open a branch where you cannot be there physically, but our team, our global mobility team, can help with all of that. And today, joining me is Michelle Masurkar and Vijay Krishna Rao. Hello.
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello,
Good
everyone.
morning, good evening.
Yes.
Good morning.
Right. So if you're watching us from the West Coast, a very good morning to you. If you're joining us from the East Coast, well, a good afternoon. It is bright and sunny and cold. So going on with our topic today, Michelle, I was thinking, USA used to be the American dream, used to be so big until
Right.
recently, right? And now
That's
a
right.
lot of companies are moving, thinking of anywhere else but, right? And
True.
maybe just opening up storefront in US and then also locating their offices elsewhere in the world, right? So I wanted to see, what kind of questions do you typically get from clients who want to open shop elsewhere or open a branch maybe, or just start from scratch somewhere else? So how do you're part of the global mobility team, you're an immigration expert yourself. Please tell us, for the sake of our audience, how does this work?
Yeah. So, hi, Neha, and thanks for having me on the show. Yes, we do have a lot of requests coming in from organizations across the globe who want to not just move out of the US, per se, but set up operations at different parts. And right now, I think Canada is the hotbed. Everybody wants to set up shop in Canada. So yeah, it's possible. It's possible for you to open a branch in Canada. There are a set of systems that you need to go through. There are a couple of documentation and process, and obviously you're opening a branch, so there would be government reviews and the government bodies that we have to meet with, and that's where we come in. We interface, we help you, we handhold you right from the time you have that little thing on the drawing board saying that I want to open a branch in Canada. So we will suggest which is a good location for you. We would interface with the government bodies. We'd help you find a space with your accounting, your taxation, and yeah, we are there for you if you whenever you want to move.
Yeah, and this is exactly
Right.
what I want to talk to you about today. Canada is such an option. What are the different ways that one can expand in Canada? I want you to go into a little detail on that, but at the same time, I want you to tell us more about, rest of the world as well. What are the other areas that people want to move out to, companies want to expand into? What are some of the other areas? I know we definitely help with South America. That's a team I've been working very closely with. I know, yeah. So why don't you tell us more about
South America, Canada, definitely America being right there, sandwiched between Canada and South America. So it's a lot easier, and there's logistics, involved in sending people either to Canada or to South America. But it's not again limited to the Americas. We also have people or companies or organizations who want to not just open branches but also move their employees to anywhere across the globe, from Australia to New Zealand, parts of Europe, Asia. Asia is picking up very fast these days. From Singapore, Vietnam, a lot of inquiries coming in for these countries. And yes, even the European countries, Sweden, Denmark, UK, of course. I mean, UK goes without
Yes.
saying that it's there. But apart from the usual, you also have Sweden, Denmark, Ireland, inquiries coming in for these people, and people moving, opening branches, opening offices, moving their associates, across to these countries too.
Yeah, and I just want to add a little bit here that we at Chug LLP attorneys and CPAs, we deliver a very robust immigration support in places where you are thinking of doing business or are already doing business, right? Our worldwide team, we speak 20 languages, and we operate in more than 120 countries across 24 time zones. So be assured, if you need any help in any country in this on this planet, really, reach out to us, info@chug.com. And yes, absolutely. And before we get into more details about Canada, Michelle, I really want to just reiterate that we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And you know what? The discussion that we are having today is for informational purposes only, and does not necessarily create an attorney client relationship. If you have a specific case that you need a consultation on, write to us, info@chug.com. Or if you have any questions that you think our immigration experts today can answer during the live, be sure to type them into the comment section. We'll be happy to answer them to the best of our ability. So Michelle, my next question is going to be, what are the different types of or different ways, if I may say, of expanding into Canada? What are the different avenues that are open right now?
Okay, let me just take this question, Michelle.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, there are many ways to expand business in Canada. Actually, Canada is considered to be one of the fastest growing economies, and Canada's economy is robust and provides stable foundation for the startup companies. So the most common way to move into Canada is by opening a physical location like a branch office, and it is the separate location but part of the same business entity. The only exception is that it's established in a Canadian soil. And secondly, you can also set up a subsidiary company to facilitate your Canadian expansion. This creates a new Canadian company, which is considered to be a separate entity from the parent company. And lastly, an acquisition is another way to expand business into Canada. And you could buy a Canadian business or a property or invest to become a stakeholder in an existing Canadian company. So that gives access to new markets, with a significant portion of the business operations which are already in place. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Okay, thank you, Vijay. Thank you for that insight. So, my next question would be, what does establishing a company in Canada look like? What do companies have to really do to kind of incorporate? And also, do they really have to create a real office, infrastructure wise? Do they really have to have a shop front, if I may call it? Michelle, do you want to take that? Do you want to answer that?
You need to have an office in Canada. Like you need to have a presence there. You need to have. It also depends upon what you're going there, what your office is going there to, what your business is,
Mm-hmm.
And while at some there may be some regulations where you do not have to have a physical office. You always use a PO box or a plug and play or kind of a office, but you need to have some kind of operations running in Canada in terms of payroll, taxation. That will be helpful in pushing your case.
Okay. And Vijay, I really, I was doing some research and I was looking at certain things. The one most popular program is the ICT, right? The intra-company transferee program. This seems to be very popular within companies right now. I want you to kind of, go into a little bit of detail and tell me what are some of the requirements for employees specifically under this program.
Sure, Neha. This is actually one of my favorite queries which I receive on a day-to-day basis. So an intra-company work permit is designed to facilitate the transfer of employees from a foreign-based company to its related Canadian company. So the purpose of this type of visa is to encourage transmission of knowledge from a foreign senior level or specialized knowledge people, employees to Canada.
Yeah.
So to qualify for an ICT, it is exempted from the labor market assessment. that is shortly we call it as a LMIA. For this reason, the process can be much quicker and simpler and more cost effective.
Okay.
So basically, there are three types of foreign workers who may be eligible for this program. Namely, they are the executives or the senior managers or the worker with advanced specialized knowledge.
Yeah, but
Right.
do you see because of COVID, there have been so many delays, right? Especially in Americas, all the cases have been delayed. Do you see certain delays happening with Canada too? And do you see speed kind of picking up now that the world is kind of
Yes.
opening up?
Yes. There has been affected. We have been affected by the COVID this thing. So the processing times have increased a lot. So earlier we used to get the approvals within 2 to 3 weeks, but
Yeah.
right now the processing times have gone up a lot, and it's taking almost 14 to 18 weeks to get applications to get processed and approvals.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so that is something I think the companies should consider, when they are applying for the ICT program. This is something they should consider that, just like how the entire world kind of slowed down because of COVID and it's slowly picking up speed, immigration has slowed down too in Canada, and it is picking up speed, but just expect certain delays in the meantime. Now, Michelle, coming to you, when the companies decide they want to go ahead and they want to create a structure there, they want to open a real office and all of that, how does one decide on the legal structure? Because that's where kind of companies get confused, right? They want to first probably send the international managers or the sales team so that they can go meet the clients first, right? Is there a difference between a subsidiary or a branch? I want you to explain that to us, please.
Yeah, I mean, from the legal perspective, Neha, definitely a branch and a subsidiary are two different entities, if I could use the word, right?
Yeah.
It's a subsidiary and a branch. Branch, like Vijay did mention earlier, is the physical of the office, whereas a subsidy is, I just say the subsidy, right? If you which we were talking about the ICT, so just let me expand on that out here. For the Canada work permits, ICT, we have two categories of work permits. One is the ICT, and the other one is the LMIA, or the Labor Market Impact Assessment. Now, the ICT, for the sake of comparison, let me compare it to the L1 of the US, which it's very similar. It is an intra-company transfer. So what you require to qualify for an ICT would be your 1 year with the company, and having been there, having specialized knowledge, etc., etc. Whereas the labor market is for somebody who's just new in the company, who does not have that 1 year of experience, but you need to send him to Canada. So you have a two-step process there, where you apply for a labor market assessment, where the application is floated on job portals, and then you have a review, and there's a process that it needs to go through. I'll not go into that process right now. So coming back to your query, when you open a branch, naturally it's a new branch. So when you send somebody across to the US, you would look at to Canada. You would definitely look at sending somebody senior, or somebody with the experience of opening a branch, of handling a branch. Maybe you'd send a senior marketing guy, or a senior business development manager who would go there and develop the business. So to start with, the first maybe 3-4 employees, it's always better to have somebody on an ICT, on a senior position, because you're going there to develop. Mm-hmm. Then later your employees can follow on, the other visa categories of the LMIA or even ICTs is better. So like you said, I mean, the initial step would be to get somebody senior across, at least, at a higher level, somebody with a lot of experience who can, we can justify it to the immigration authorities, saying that he's going there, he's going to start a branch and then start moving on.
Yeah, it's all about building a case, right? It's all about building
a case. Yeah, right. It's all about building a case. You send somebody with no experience who just joined your company. Obviously, you're going to get queries from the immigration authorities. Why are you sending him?
Right. Right.
unless he himself is a senior with a lot of experience and he has been recruited for this purpose.
Got
But
it.
somebody with very little experience, it could cause complications and delays in the case.
Right. Now, does it really matter, what kind of province a company chooses to be in? And is there something, do you help clients choose a particular province depending on what kind of a business they have?
Yeah, I wouldn't say across Canada, but there are a
Yeah.
few provinces in Canada which have different setups and different requirements. So yes, as the companies come in, we review their application, look at what they want, and if they haven't decided themselves that this is where I want to open, then
Yeah.
definitely we look at them and we would suggest what is best for them.
Yeah, and for those of you who are joining us now and wondering what we are talking about, well, we're talking about mobility to Canada. And I have, our immigration experts from the Global Mobility team, Michelle Masurkar and Vijay Krishna Rao, joining us today and answering any questions that you may have about either incorporating a company in Canada or branching out in Canada or using the startup visa in Canada, or even if you want a work permit in Canada and how to approach that. Our team is right here. If you have any questions, send them to us in the comment section, or if you're watching a recorded version, info@chuk.com. That's the email ID that you should be friends with right now, really. Yeah. And if also want to just reiterate as a disclaimer, the conversation that we are having today, the discussion we are having today is for informational purposes only. This does not create an attorney-client relationship. If you have a specific case that you would like us to look into, well, I would really request you to set up a consult. Michelle, thank you for answering that question about the whole province thing. Vijay, I'm thinking from a company's perspective really here. And, companies want to save money when they, branch out, when they're being operational. Is it really, and I know, Michelle, you answered this briefly before, but I really want you to go into details here, Vijay. Do companies really need to be fully operational when they either branch out or they incorporate? And should there be like a manager or an employee that needs to be kind of like present there?
Right. To answer your question, it's not a mandatory requirement for startups eventually. But moving forward, revenue generation and gaining business profits would certainly be beneficial for a Canadian entity. So in other words, a fully operational office is what the business should look into after a certain point of time. Yeah.
Okay.
And
okay.
Secondly, a manager may not be essentially located or based out of Canada. He or she can operate the business anywhere from outside Canada. The focus or motive is to appoint, a few local Canadians so that, one can demonstrate that the business in Canada has been stabilized and provides employment opportunities to, Canadian citizens too.
So this is only for... Yeah, sorry, Vijay.
That puts up in an advantageous position for that particular entity. Yes.
Just to add, sorry to cut you in, Neha, but just to add to this, earlier Canada had this thing that if you were opening a branch or incorporating a company in Canada, one of the board of directors had to be a Canadian citizen. But lately they've lifted that. So now that does not apply. You don't need to have a Canadian citizen. So that again is in our favor. So, it's very easier. Makes it a lot easier now to incorporate a company into Canada.
Right. So, Vijay, the point that you were making, does that apply to any company who's either branching out or incorporating or even a startup?
Yes.
Okay. That's really good to know.
That's right.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you, Vijay. And, what about compliance and employment laws? How does a foreign company setting up their office in Canada, right? How do they navigate that? How do they figure out what kind of compliance they need, say provincial and federal, how do they navigate all of that?
Okay. There are basic 3 rights the workers include is the, fair working environment and the right remuneration and the equal pay and equal work, the right to protect from, forced labor and trafficking. The Canadians have the right to be treated fairly in the workplace, workplace free of discrimination. Yeah. And Canada has laws and programs to protect this right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. And Michelle, I want you to talk to me about work permits, right? That's something that will interest everybody, especially those who are wanting to go because, well, an employee, right? You need a work permit to work in
Right.
Canada. How
Yeah.
do companies apply for that, for the work permit? Who qualifies? What kind of a documentation do we need? I really want you to give me a really quick crash course, if I may call it.
Yeah, actually, I've already done that, sir. But let me just, go back again to it. For work permits, like we had mentioned earlier, there are two categories of work permits. One is the ICT, which we did go into, which is your intra-company transfer. So you're transferring an employee from one company or from the parent company anywhere, whether it's India or Australia or the US, to a company in Canada, right? And the
Yeah.
company, obviously the company in Canada that is sponsoring the associate or is sponsoring the employee, needs to be registered and operational in Canada. So documents required for this ICT would be, again, you need company documents, proof of that the company exists, their payrolls, and there are certain letters which we will draft and give them. All that the organization needs to do is go through it and sign at the end. From the employee's perspective, please ensure that passports are always up to date. We have had passports coming to us with 3 months validity and 6 months validity, and that we have to send them back and you have to get your passport renewed. And now we are post COVID, so everything is taking very long. So passports are also taking long to get renewed. So please ensure that you have your passports valid or up to date at least for a year before you apply for any kind of work permit. Apart from passports, then you have your education qualifications, letter of experiences. Just keep all those documents in order and ready. That is what is mainly required from the applicants. The other work permit category is your LMIA or LAMIA or LIMIA as some call it, which is Labor Market Impact Analysis or Assessment, which basically tells you that if you by employing a foreign national, you are not upsetting the Canadian labor market. So what happens out here is before we apply for the work permit, you need to do a job posting on certain government websites saying that we have some systems engineer with 3 years experience. This is his salary, and it just goes out.
Yeah.
And then the organization needs to look to see whether they've got any responses from this advert and give proof as to why none of the Canadians who applied for it were suitable for this post. So we apply for that, you get your response, you get an okay, you go ahead with a work permit. So these are basically the two types of work permits that are there for Canada. You have the ICT and the LMIA.
Yeah, I just want to, say on your last point, those familiar with the US immigration system would actually relate to it and call it the perm process. That's what happens during a perm process too, right?
Right, but this is not perm process. Yeah. It's actually a work permit. Only thing you're just saying that, that this position can be filled by a foreign national, because we don't have Canadian nationals. So, and this is basically done for somebody who's newly into the company, who doesn't have that 1 year of experience, so that we can apply for an ICT.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Michelle. Now,
and
duration
timelines, don't ask me, Neha, because it's so haywire.
I was going to ask you just that.
Yeah, it's so haywire at the moment. There were times we were getting work permits processed within 6 weeks, 4 weeks, but now we are waiting. How much, Vijay? What was the last 12, 15
I think almost 6 months.
Yeah.
God. Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
well, COVID has hit all these timelines severely. Now, really quickly, when does one become eligible for permanent residency? I guess that's, everybody's goal.
Right. To answer this, Canada permanent residence visa is a multiple entry visa with a validity of 5 years. So it provides skilled foreign workers with the opportunity to work and settle in Canada. And it allows you to change your Canadian PR status to that of a Canadian citizen after 3 years of stay and work on a PR card. So to be eligible for a PR, one must have at least 1 year of work experience in the province. And you must be between the age of 21 to 55. So to to get PR status.
To qualify for the
To
PR.
qualify for that, and the education should be from an Canadian high school credential or equivalent. And lastly, you should have the language ability in English or French on the CLB. That it is the Canadian language benchmark.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. All right.
And
Thank
to
you,
qualify,
Vijay.
to qualify for the Canada PR, one must score at least 67 immigration points, and of course he or she should meet the cutoff CRS scores for each draw.
Yeah, which is where I think you and Michelle can come in really handy and can help people. And I know you guys get a lot of calls where people want to just talk to you and ask you, hey, will I make 67 points?
Yeah. Yes, while you're on it, Neha, let me tell you that, we do get a lot of calls and emails coming and asking. So there is no quick fix, or there is no, I can't reply to this immediately. There's a lot of research that has to go in before I can tell you whether you qualify or you don't. So over a phone call or just a single email, I can't do that. It's not possible. It's not fair for me to do it and tell you, yes, you qualify or no, you don't, right? There's a lot of research that needs to go in. So folks, please bear with us. Give us time. Don't, just call up and say, I'm a doctor or I'm a nurse, or can I qualify into Canada? It doesn't work that way. There's a lot that we need to review and look at before we can say yes or no.
Your work experience,
Exactly.
your documentations. I'm pretty sure your qualifications for English language, or French, and all of that.
Background checks, everything that needs to go in. There's a lot of background, there's a lot of review that we need to do. There's a lot of work that goes into it. So there's a lot of time and money involved in the whole thing. So
so if you are, someone, a company or an entrepreneur or a startup or looking to open their office in Canada, branch out there, or just, want to start a new business there from scratch, Chugh Law Firm can help. And Michelle, if you could quickly summarize for us, we really have just 2 minutes left on how our law firm can help, and, about our global mobility program, that would be really great.
So, one thing is very clear, Neha, that there are a lot of, self-titled advisors and agencies out there, and they claim that they have immigration experience. They call themselves agents, attorneys, etc. But we are regarded as a global law firm. We specialize in immigration. We've been around for, 20 years, 20 plus years, 30 years almost. Yeah. And we have so we have the expertise and the experience in all these areas. We've grown and developed and become globally respected. We have a lot of clients and we are respected globally. So we are a leading immigration law firm. If you come to think of, we are a leading immigration law firm, and we have a lot of respect from our clients, and we've done well with better than our competitors in a lot of areas. So getting it right is the first time round will save you money. It will save you time. It just, reduces your disruption and promotes a positive immigration history or, chemistry for you. So that's it. Look at us. We've been there. We've done it. We've taken so many people across. So why not Chugh? Let me just rephrase that. Why not
That's
Chugh?
the best.
Absolutely, Michelle. Couldn't have said it better, Michelle and Vijay. Thank you so much for joining me today, and all of you who joined us today. Thank you for watching this. And again, if you have any questions for us, I'm sorry we're running out of time. Can't take any questions right now. But if you're watching us recorded version, send us your questions. info@chugh.com. We will continue talking about global mobility next week as well. We'll have another immigration expert who will talk about another part of the world and how to kind of navigate yourself there. So stay tuned and subscribe to our networks so that you can stay ahead of your game. See you next week. Stay safe and sound. Thank you again.